So we're just going to run through a craft that we did at our kids club last week. It's an Easter craft. It's a craft that helps us to talk about the story of Easter, specifically what happened between Good Friday and Easter Sunday. What we're going to make is a sort of cave, tomb thing on a biscuit with an egg, and it's got a Freckle as the stone in front, and if we remove that away, there's actually a sort of jelly baby in there, so we use that to talk about Jesus in the tomb. So just put that over there. Okay, so basically what you need for this, it's a good craft, it's been around for ages. A colleague of mine, Beth Nichols, put the instructions together in one of our Easter curriculums we used a few years ago. Not sure if she came up with it or someone else, but it's a good one in that it can be done at home easily. It can also scale up and be done with a large group of kids very easily. It's quick and they can eat it as well. So what you want to get from the shops is some jelly babies, some chocolate freckles or any sort of chocolate disc. Some cooking chocolate comes like that. Just some plain biscuits, really, ones that are big enough for an egg to go on. I've got some icing sugar, some green food colouring, some water. I actually mixed it up beforehand because you want it to be mixed up to be fairly thick, in that is essentially the glue that's going to hold all of the pieces together. And really you don't want to be sitting there mixing that up on the day with kids waiting. You sort of want to do that beforehand if you're trying to do this with a large group. Plus, better than getting icing sugar and food colouring everywhere. The other thing you're going to want to have is some sort of plate to do it on, just so your table doesn't end up covered in food colouring, icing sugar and everything else. So we'll just quickly knock it together now. Oh, and obviously an Easter egg, just sort of a medium-sized one that'll fit on there, on the biscuit, reasonably well. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off by we're going to start off by just biting a little hole on top of our egg, because that's going to be the sort of mouth of the cave, so you get to eat a little bit of the egg. Try not to eat the whole thing. It's probably good to have some spares just in case this step goes wrong. Just get rid of that over there. There we go. It doesn't have to be super big, just big enough so that it can sort of sit there and have a freckle on it. So what we're going to do is use some of this icing now, just to put onto the biscuit. That's going to be our base that sort of keeps the egg held. If you're feeling really inspired, you might get like a knife or something, but honestly just a spoon to sort of splodge it on there is probably as good as it's going to get. And then you just sort of crack your egg on top and just press it down a little bit just so that it's on there. Now that's our icing base on there. Now we're going to get ourselves a jelly baby, baby Jesus, and just pop it inside, because we remember Jesus going into the tomb. Just flatten that out a bit. And then we're going to we'll just put a bit of extra icing sugar on this front bit, because we're going to stick a chocolate freckle on the front as well. And that's pretty much it. So that's our tomb, our little Easter craft that we can remember. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward, pretty quick, and you can, if you want, get a bit elaborate and put like other hundreds and thousands or fancy sprinkles around here. And yeah, it's just a fun little activity that we can use to help talk about the Easter story with kids. So there you go.